Hey guys, well, I'm coming back today while I make another steak. I'm fixing to throw this one in the air fryer. It's a 2-pound sirloin. I had some breakfast this morning, so I probably won't eat all of this, but I'm not coming to talk to you about sirloin steaks or anything today. I'm coming to talk to you a little bit about happiness, or even better, just being content and finding a relaxed mental attitude in life. I will say a lot of people talk to me about how there are healthy things that they do that help them along the way, and I find those things to be good too. Watching a sunrise, watching a sunset, just sitting in my yard sometimes getting a little sun, watching the wind blow through the trees, those things are relaxing and good for mindful moments. But it's because of the other things that I do that I can enjoy those things. It's not those things themselves that bring me the happiness. There's actually a number of things I think that play into this, but diet was the one that surprised me the most. So I'm going to start with diet, because diet is the one that had the most profound effect on me overall. A lot of us don't realize that our gut actually has as many or more neurons than we do in our brain. And when our gut health is out of whack, it has a big effect on our mentality as well. And my wife noticed the difference very quickly early on when I started eating a carnivore style diet. As I was cutting out all the processed food garbage and cutting out all the seed oils, which really it's probably not even right to call them seed oils. It's more like an industrial byproduct that was never meant to be ingested. But cutting those things out of my diet has made a huge difference in the way my gut health works. I've had people tell me since I've been doing a carnivore diet that if I get a gut health test, I'm going to find out I'm missing all these items that I should be having. Well, I actually did one of those tests. I used a company called Ombre, who basically sent me a trial kit to try it out, and they wanted to recommend their product, which is a probiotic. And I have their product, but I've never used it. I just haven't felt like I've needed it. And I'm not a big fan of supplements. But one of the things I liked was the test did take a look at my gut biome and tell me kind of where I have certain bacteria that are growing and which ones aren't growing. And for the most part, my gut bacteria looked great. As a matter of fact, the words they used were, "It's a teeming forest of good health," or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact wording they used, but it was basically saying that I had a very diverse amount of gut bacteria for somebody who only eats meat. And I had done this diet for almost a year at the time that I did that test. I truly believed even before I was doing this diet that the bad bacteria that I was feeding with the yeast and the breads and the sugar and all the vegetable oils and the garbage that's in our diet, when you start feeding that bad bacteria in your gut all the things it needs to thrive, it's going to control you and tell you to eat that stuff. And if you don't eat those things, it's going to make you feel bad. It's part of the way the bacteria works, is it's trying to get you, the host, to give it what it needs to survive. And what it needs to survive, that bad bacteria, are the foods that we don't need to be eating. The foods that most of the food companies and the processed food companies specifically are making. I don't even want to call them foods. There's really the chemicals and things that they're using and putting together in the foods that we call food, and then our body is demanding it because our gut bacteria wants that trash. Why do you think they call it comfort food? When you feel like you need something to make you feel better, it's that bad bacteria that's telling you, I need some more of this, and you're going to get me some or I'm going to make your life miserable. Ever since I started eating a carnivore diet, within days of switching to a carnivore diet and cutting that stuff off, I started to feel a whole lot better. I never really wanted to talk to my doctors about depression because I was a little nervous about what they would think, that I had a mental disorder or something like that. Well, I've seen a lot of doctors recently talking about the fact that depression itself, turns out, is not a mental disorder, but it's more of a metabolical disorder. So when your metabolic system is out of whack, it has a tremendous effect on the amount of depression you're going to experience. And switching to a carnivore diet or a keto diet or anything that takes out all the processed garbage in your life is going to have a tremendous effect on your overall mental happiness. Now, I don't think that's the only factor that's in play, because it doesn't really relieve all of the anxiety that daily life can bring. You know, anxiety can be caused by a lot of things. It could be caused by the bills you have to pay, the lack of work that you've had, the lack of income that you have coming in. Maybe your love life isn't what you want it to be. Or it could be as simple as that you just have a high pressure job and they're constantly pounding you to do more than you can possibly do, or that you feel you can possibly do. And that anxiety can lead to a lot of problems. One of the things, unfortunately, I used to do to treat anxiety was I used medical marijuana, because that was what the doctor told me that I could get this for, is if you have any type of anxiety disorder. And I didn't know if I had an anxiety disorder. She asked me a few questions and boom, I had an anxiety disorder. So boom, I had a medical marijuana prescription. And when I would have anxious days, having some of that, my anxiety would be gone for a little while, but boy, would it come back hard when I didn't have some. And the more I didn't do, if I didn't do more and more, then it would just get worse and worse. But you know what? Over time, it was getting worse and worse anyway. So treating it that way wasn't helping. Just like a lot of these drugs that doctors are giving us to treat a number of symptoms aren't really helping. They're just masking a problem, and in some cases, making the problem worse. So how do you deal with that anxiety? Well, one of the things I have found that's real important for dealing with anxiety is simply having an attitude of gratitude. Being thankful for what you do have rather than complaining about what you don't. None of us have everything we want to have. But if you look at it closely, if you're getting through each day and you have food and you have shelter and you have clothes on your body, then you have the basics you need. You have more than many people in human history have ever had. And there's a lot of people today that don't have all those things. So one, being thankful if you do have those things, and reminding yourself daily by giving thanks. In my case, I'm a Christian. I give thanks to the Lord for the things I have. But simply being thankful in general that you have those things and acknowledging it to yourself is certainly going to make a difference. Because when I hear people complaining about things all the time, or if I hear them say things like, "Oh God, I hate my life. My life is awful. Oh, I wish I could change this day. This day sucks. Everything sucks." Wallowing in self-pity is a sure way to increase your anxiety and put yourself into a depressive state. So you got to stop wallowing in that self-pity, and you got to stop saying things that bring you down mentally. You've got to look at your situation and find the positives. Now, I've never been a 100% believer in you can just be positive to get out of all this stuff, but I can tell you combine that with a good diet and it has made a heck of a difference for me. And again, as a Christian, there are several verses that remind me that I'm to be joyful for all things. Now, the question I get a lot is, well, how can you be joyful for bad situations, when things don't go so well, when you're sick or somebody you know is sick? You know, the thing we have to all recognize is none of us are getting out of life alive. We're all here for a little while, and then we're not going to be here. And that means we're going to die. At some point, all of us are going to die. From the day we're born, we're all slowly dying. Then you'll start to realize life as it really is. You're not going to be looking for a life that doesn't exist. All of this chasing a utopian idea where everybody's going to have everything they need and nobody's going to be in want, it's just wishing for things that are never going to exist. And if you go through life pursuing those things, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for misery. But if you look at life as what it is it's a struggle. It's a struggle to stay alive in a lot of ways. But you know, if you live in a blessed situation where you're in a country that has relatively good laws and has a relative amount of freedom, you have it a lot better than most people in all of human history. Be thankful for those things. The Bible also tells me to be anxious for nothing, but all things through prayer and supplication make my requests known. Now, one of the problems is a lot of Christians, I find, think of God as a genie, that if they just tell God, this is what I want you to give it to me, they're ignoring the parts of the Bible that say the reason you don't have is because you would spend it on your own pleasures. God didn't put us here to chase after our own pleasures. We're supposed to be here as a service to others. Christ was a servant for all of mankind. He came and died on a cross to remove the sin debt from all of man. I believe that, and that's what I believe is going to seal my future with Him. And if you haven't found that, then it might be something worth looking into. because I truly believe that if you're seeking the truth, you will find it, regardless of what you think about what I'm saying right now. But he came to serve, and he came to suffer, and he came to go through the life that we go through so that he could show you that it can be done, and it can be done with an attitude of gratitude. And you can actually find happiness even in the hardest situations, because you'll find that your difficult situations are what make you stronger, they're what make you more mature, and ultimately, in the Christian belief, is that it's going to be those gold and silver and precious stones that you're saving up so that the day that you're standing before him and he's analyzing your life, it doesn't all burn up as wood, hay, and stubble, because you were constantly chasing after what you wanted. You were chasing after what he wanted for you and finding the life that is truly life. And that's one of the reasons why, even when I get down in the dumps, I can turn to him and I can find that comfort. And I can realize that I'm just having self-pity at the moment, and that I got to get past that. But when your diet's not right, if you're eating poison and saying, thank you, Lord, for this food, that food is not food. If you're eating poison, you're going to get the results of poison. So you've got to decide, I'm going to cut the poison out of my life, I'm going to cut the poisonous talk out of my life, and I'm going to start doing things that are healthy for me physically and mentally. And then I'm going to also try to find ways, how can I be better for those around me? Sometimes people don't want to hear your stories and how you're doing things better or what you're doing to be better. But if you can simply live the example of having a healthier lifestyle, and then let them ask you what you're doing. And even when you tell them, they might balk at what you're saying because they don't want to believe that meat is good for you, or that eating a high-fat diet is good for you, or that not eating vegetables is good for you, at least in my case. I personally think that vegetables are great for most people, as long as you're eating good, healthy, naturally raised vegetables. A lot of that stuff we buy in the store has been genetically altered and modified, and all kind of chemicals have been used on it. So you got to take all these things into account. Start putting things into your body that are good so that your body can function right, and that's going to help your mind function right. But then when you're putting things into your body, you got to consider what you put into your eyes and what you put into your ears too. The things you listen to and the things you watch are going to affect you mentally. If you're constantly watching pornographic stuff or heavy violent stuff, if you're playing those video games that are constantly violent, I understand. I loved Call of Duty. I played Grand Theft Auto. I get the appeal. But it sets you up mentally to fail. It puts you in a position to where you're going to have a negative attitude. And that negative attitude is going to just permeate your body. Same way those chemicals and all that garbage that's in our food permeates your body when you eat the stuff they call food these days. Oh, time to flip my steak. So you've got to be real careful about how you treat other people. And don't look for other people to be a source of happiness for you. If you just go into it thinking, how can I honor you today? How can I do unto you as I would want you to do unto me? Not thinking about whether or not they're gonna do it for you the way you're doing. Not holding it to them if they don't treat you the way you treat them. But rather just having the attitude, I'm gonna treat them the way I would want to be treated. And leave it at that. You'll find that you can have a much happier life. You'll have a much happier viewpoint on things, and you'll be able to deal with adversity a lot easier. I've had some complainers on my channel wonder how it is that I can do a diet like this on such a low income that I'm dealing with right now. All I can say is the Lord provides when you have the right attitude. And when you're doing the right things, your body nourishes from it, your mind nourishes from it. And that's the changes that I've been making for not only me, but my whole family. And slowly they've been getting on board with less and less processed food, more and more natural, healthy food. We sit and we study the Bible together. We have time with each other to focus on the things that are truly important. The traditions of the past that many of the young people today don't even know about, a lot of the traditions that we used to have and why they were important. Why the stories of old mean so much to us, because those people were facing truly hard times. We're so blessed, especially in the United States, that we don't even recognize how good we have it. And we abuse our freedom and we throw it away so fast. And it's a lack of an attitude of gratitude. It's an attitude that says, I want mine, I deserve mine, give it to me right now, and if you don't, then I'm going to hold it against you. And that's what's causing so much of the hatred and anxiety that goes on between people. It's hard for me to go out into traffic sometimes, or to be in the store dealing with people and the attitudes that you have to deal with. But the best thing I can say is that what has helped me, even when they stir me up sometimes, is simply to smile and do the best I can to not act the way they're acting toward me, to not respond with the same vitriol or knee-jerk responses that people have when they say and do things in public and in traffic, as if they're on the internet talking to somebody who's not going to punch them in the mouth. I'm not saying you need to punch them in the mouth, although there may be a time for that too. But best thing I can say, if you want to have an effect that's going to make a positive change, kill them with kindness. Do the best you can, and at some point you may just have to walk away. But don't let the fact that somebody else has problems in their life and that they're eating a diet that's causing them to be a little nuts, and that they don't know anything about the Lord and all these things that I've talked about, and they don't have any tradition in their life and their family life is a mess, don't let their problems go with you when you walk away. Pray for that person. Put that person before the Lord and know that they need some help. You got to start searching for the truth. You got to start searching for the real answers in this world, because we all only get one shot at it, and I'd like it to be a good one for you and for me. Well, that's all I got to say for today. I hope it helps out. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
Ketocon 2023. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, and yours truly is going to be there on the Saturday event. If I get enough people that get tickets using my code, that they will set something up for a little meet and greet type of situation for me. Check in the description for the link and the code. Not only will it help the opportunity for me to be able to talk to more of you, but you'll also save $50 on your own tickets. And look for Saturday to be the day to have a chance to get together with me.